Hi team, my name is Ore, reaching you from the Change Studio. So today I'm going to be talking about the 5 steps to overcoming resistance in terms of change across an organization. The first one would be identifying the root cause. I mean, why do you want to identify the root cause? Because it's going to look like there's a bigger reason behind the resistance, and usually is something that's much smaller, could easily be neglected and overlooked, but it will be something that you should be looking out for. You want to have more conversations with people, with your stakeholders, to identify why they are opposing this root cause. Don't just assume or take their word for it. I'm not saying that your stakeholders are going to be lying. I'm just saying that they are probably not aware of what the root cause for their resistance is. They can't really put their finger on it, but because this change is integral to your deliverable and you realize how beneficial it will be to the organization, you want to quickly nip this in the bud. So in order to do that, you're going to need to identify the real reason behind that resistance. Now, for each stakeholder, you're going to have to do this by talking to them. Now, how do you go about this? You want to think about, if you're neglecting, think about what you're avoiding. Think about a particular feeling that you're avoiding, or how you can, or something that has come up in conversations with that one stakeholder or multiple stakeholders. You want to think about the things that's come up in conversations, the things that stand out to them, that might not necessarily be the points or the highlights of the conversation, but has been a part of their conversations. That's why it's good to take minutes or to record conversations, so that you're able to go back and listen. When you first went to meet your stakeholder, how did they react, and what were their pain points, and what were the things that you feel like got a reaction out of them? What are the keywords that you feel like kept coming up? You want to figure out what it is about that stakeholder, what it is in the mind of that stakeholder that's causing them to resist this change. That would require you to, like I said, take minutes, journal, record your conversations, go over a lot of the conversations you've had with your stakeholders. And also, you need to reflect on the moments that a conversation has hit a wall. So a lot of times I find that during change conversations or buy-in conversations or even demos, there are things that a particular stakeholder will highlight, and that's when the conversation sort of stops. And because you are not able to respond to that, sometimes it influences other stakeholders that were already, seeming like they were already providing their buy-in, to hesitate because you're not able to provide that. And sometimes it's easy to miss it because somebody that's conciliatory and jolly good fellow could bring up something else, and you're able to quickly ride over that awkward gap, and you can successfully move on with the meeting. But you want to go back to that meeting to think about what it is that caused a wall in that meeting. And trust me, it's sticking in the mind of your stakeholders, especially that stakeholder and anybody else that question might have impacted in a way that makes them call to, it reminds them of something that this change could impact and negatively impede. So you want to be aware of those kinds of things when you hit a wall during a conversation with a stakeholder. The second thing you want to do to manage resistance or overcome resistance during a change process is you want to acknowledge and name the resistance. So when you identify this root cause, now what you need to do is recognize that this person is speaking from a place of pain, and sometimes some of those things are things you didn't consider before, which is why, like I said yesterday, you want to be going back to you want to be engaging and providing feedback. You want to be providing feedback after feedback. So they provide you feedback during your surveys or through the engagement loop you've provided. You want to give them feedback upon feedback upon feedback. You want to engage them back and forth. You want to come up with back and forth, even though sometimes it can feel a bit strenuous. It can feel like you're giving too much of your time, and it could even get a little bit of conflict because emotions might be charged, because people have deadlines this could impact, and you don't have answers to questions they're asking you. And sometimes the questions they're asking you feel like they're not relevant, but they are not convinced that it's not relevant. You want to take a step back and acknowledge what the problem is. Identify what the problem is. Let's put a name to this, right? Sometimes in doing that, you and the stakeholder find out that if we decide to name what this problem is, it's really not important on a scale of priority in terms of opportunity cost for this particular change. Sometimes we have fear. Stakeholders and application owners and domain owners have a lot of they might have a lot of fear. Sometimes they're very focused, and sometimes that could be the issue, that they're so focused on their own work, day-to-day work. They don't see how making this change affects them, and so or how making this change for them is necessary at this point. So you want to be able to help them see beyond the four corners of what they do every day and how that affects their work. And how do you make it? How do you go about this? When you find yourself procrastinating or trying to give yourself some kind of break from engaging with these people, you need to take a pause and communicate with your people. If you have key stakeholders within that team, or if you have a friendly, I like to call them friendlies. If you have a friendly within that team, you want to identify that person and have a sit down with that person. Talk to them about what the issues are and let them suggest how to solve it from an insider's perspective. You want to know that this isn't personal. Think about from the point of view of your target audience and try to solve it from that perspective. Think about let them describe to you how how you can solve the problem for them. When you name that resistance, then you're able to help them. When everybody names it, agrees on what this real issue is, then both of you can now decide, okay, how can I help you fix this problem? What will solve this problem? But bear in mind that solving the problem can never be not to implement the change, because I want to believe that you've done your business case, you've viewed all that you need to review concerning the need for this change and the long-term impact or the long-term results that you can get from this change. So not effecting this change is a no-go, but you want to be able to help them figure out how to cross this hurdle to get to the next point and move on. But don't ever listen to your instinct to avoid the problem or avoid the conflict and go over the person's head or try to send them emails rather than having one-on-one conversations with them. If it's virtual through Teams, or if it's in person, meeting with them over lunch or in a friendly environment or in a friendly atmosphere. Thirdly, you want to reframe your mindset. I think this is something that's important when it comes to resistance. A lot of times when we get any form of resistance in anything that's important to us, our first instinct is usually to change, to feel offended, or to take it personal, or to just downgrade, or to just denigrate what the person has said or what their issues are. But you need to from identifying what the problem is, you want to be able to see them as potential learning experience, or necessary milestones. You know, this is an additional milestone. So update your project plan. This is not something for you to go off and either complain to someone or knock that off in your plan, you know, or put it in the back burner, or think of how you can you know, just find a way around it. Do not find a way around it. Think about it as a learning experience, because I found that when I'm able to, when people bring me obstacles and milestones, what I now consider as milestones, when they bring me those obstacles and those resistance, I from helping them to solve that problem, I'm earning their trust, which is useful for the future. But I'm also, not only that, I'm learning so that when I encounter such an issue in future, I'm able to easily overcome them, because I've learned from that experience. I've learned from the solutions that were leveraged to solve that problem. Now, how do you do this? Just think about how you can learn from this. Just think about how can this help me grow? Even things like replacing your mindset from I have to do this with I get to actually do this. You know, you can reduce the emotional weight of the task at hand. You know, get excited about this opportunity to fix this problem, to help even your stakeholders feel like you're solving a problem together. Help them feel like, yes, this is an opportunity for us to improve the enterprise. This is an opportunity for us to figure out a problem that could have been someone else fixing it, but here we get to be the ones to fix this problem. Have that mindset of, rather than say, oh, now I have to come up with another plan for this milestone. Think about it like, oh wow, so I get to fix this problem. Oh, ServiceNow has been not really been a good book of record. This is an opportunity we get to actually be the ones to figure out this problem, you know, bring this up to senior management and propose solutions and leave that with them. But we brought it to light. You know, we're responsible for bringing it to light, and we're responsible for, you know, proposing solutions. That's what we're here for. But we move on with our task and we solve this problem. We get to be the ones named for solving this problem. So it could be something that, you know, I found that digging further on problems and to find solutions helps you to resolve bigger problems that you didn't know exist. And that's how you write your name in the sand. That's how you put yourself in a position of authority and respect, and people will come to you in future to say, can you help me fix this problem? It might not be a similar problem like you've experienced, but now that mindset is everything. People are able to rely on you to solve new problems, to fix things. You know, you're now the problem solver. You're no longer just the change girl. You're now, or boy, you're now the problem solver. You're able to, your mindset shifts, and you're able to, you know, go into problems, face resistance, identify issues without grumpiness, you know, because that's puts a sour mood in a room. And this is very key, I tell you. I was opportuned to be one of the people that created a lot of processes in quite a lot of I don't know why it happens to me, but I'm always a pioneer of things. Like I'm always either the first among the first set of people to try something, and so we have to improvise and create frameworks and change. Like, I don't know, people just like to bring me into new things, and I love it because the way I think is, I think in terms of high level and strategy. I don't really enjoy too much going into the woods, and you know, I love to get my hands dirty, but I love to get my hands dirty to come in, figure out because figuring out what the problem is, figuring out what the solution is, and then working backwards to figure out how to solve, to identify the problem. Because when you know what you want to solve, then you might need to work backwards to figure out what caused, what was the issue, what's the issue that prompted the need to solve this problem. Because I've come to meetings to start a project for a software development process, or even an application, or to create a new framework for a change process, and then you ask them, so why are we doing this? And they don't know. They just know that they want to change this, and then they might have surface responses like, we just want to create an application, we want to change this, we want people to be able to use this comfortably. But why? You want to think about this from a business perspective. If I were your parents and you had to justify why I would give you money to implement this change or to create this application, what would be your why? How would you solve this problem? How would you tell me? How would you convince me to put the money down to do this for you? And that's how you get to the crux of the problem, by understanding that some of those, and that's where your expertise comes in, helping them identify the solutions from the perspective of the problem. You identify what they already know what they want to do, but your problem, your role is to help them figure out the why of why they are doing this, because a lot of times they have no idea why they are doing this. So your role is to help them figure out why. Now, the fourth point I'm going to bring to you today is take small targeted actions. Now, I know I've said a lot of things about fixing enterprise problems and identifying issues when you didn't know that it could be a bigger problem. It can get overwhelming when you see when somebody brings to you this huge problem. You want to be able to, break them down into bite-sized problems, what you can fix at your level. Even if some part of it requires higher level fixing, you want to be able to help them bite those things, not to bite more than they can chew per time, because it can get very overwhelming, and we don't want that. Because if it gets overwhelming, you're going to give up, and they're going to get tired of addressing why they are resisting it with you. So you've figured out this problem, you've identified this problem, you've decided this is what you want to do now, and then you've helped them to start to say, okay, this is the problem and this is what we're trying to solve. Good, we agreed on that, we aligned on that. Now, what's the smallest thing we can do to solve this, to fix this problem, to address this problem? How do we communicate it? Starts with, how do we even communicate this issue to the executive management or to a higher level person? Or you want to solve, how do you want to communicate this problem to the people that it actually affects? Because you don't want to go with all your technical jargon and talk about all that. You want to talk about how it immediately impacts them as on their level right now, immediately. So those are things that helps you, those are parts of the things that will help you take small targeted actions. And then how do you do this? Could just be something as simple as working for 10 minutes on a project. So sometimes you're working on a project, it starts so the technical lead comes up with all these huge milestones. Then you start to and then the project manager goes and starts to break down all these milestones, into, what they think is chewable. But you, as either the business analyst or the change specialist, what you're there to do, or the change consultant, what you're going to be looking at is, okay, so now we're implementing this thing, but how are we transitioning? Now, the transition plan, is there a document that says what this transition plan has to contain? If there isn't, you want to do a high-level, single-page fact sheet to say what this transition will be. You want to get people to approve it, because you will need people to align with you, so that when you start reaching out to them to say, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need you to do this, come to this meeting, they are not confused about why you're calling them to meetings when they've already handed you over the mantle to go do what you need to do. You need to align on that first, that first draft, that's fact sheet. Then you start to develop a transition plan. Your transition plan, bear in mind some of these things look like they're long-term, and a lot of projects, get funded or are starting when there isn't time and the deadline is in maybe 3 to 4 months. You don't really have time to go back and forth so much. But I promise you that these steps are very important. You just might need to cut them down in terms of how elaborate you go in your documents, how much you want to explain, but you cannot compromise on the people, the buy-in, the people that need to get buy-in, identifying those people and helping them understand how the priority level of their buying, the level of their or how important their buying is, or the priority level of their priority level in that process. Now, you also want to be sure that you complete this task. You give yourself a timeline for completing each of these. If you're taking 10 minutes per day to say draft a fact sheet, you need to give yourself a target for how do I know that I've completed this task for today. So it's not just writing a few things on a piece of paper or on your Word document. You want to have someone like a soundboard. So you complete this and then you send to your stakeholders to say, so these are the things that are contained in this fact sheet today. It's a transition plan. Please go ahead and take a look and let me know what you think. A lot of times, most of them will not respond, but that's fine. That keeps you accountable to, continuously meet your goal, your task goal of doing something on that project or those milestones or that milestone every single time that you have cut out to do that. Now, last but not the least, in terms of how to resist changes, building accountability and support, which which is leading off of coming off from my fourth point. Building accountability and support. If you're a single man army, you want to enlist the support of, say, if you have a project manager, because both of you are gatekeepers. You want to enlist the support of your project manager or technical lead, just people to checks and balancing. Every day you're sending them this. You draw out a list of things for both of for that you call like a joint milestone completion tracker every day. So you do those things, so it keeps you accountable. Having someone to check in or to setting up reminders for yourself, helps you stick to your goals. Especially when you're feeling discouraged, maybe you just attended a meeting and it looks like everything is just falling apart. It looks like everybody's still very confused about things you documented, things you've agreed on. They seem to be going back and forth. That happens a lot. Do not be controlled by what your environment says. Be controlled by what you have already written down, because those are the things that you can go by. Those are the things that will be referred to and leveraged when the change has actually taken place and when this thing is actually working. That's why you need things like, you need playbooks. You need to do those kinds of things that would help people to feel comfortable that they have something to leverage on. They have backing for every action step taken. Trust me, a lot of this technology profession, a lot of the very core technology professionals like the developers and those people, they appreciate these documents so much. They might not have the patience to create them with you or to go step by step in what it takes to create them with you, but they appreciate it so much because it's what they can leverage when they need direction. Because a lot of their work is very regimented and needs a lot of focus, and when something takes them off track, they need something to bring them right back. So you're documenting and keeping those transition plans, those fact sheets, and those important playbooks playbooks for if there's a merit, playbook for if there's a breach, playbook for if something was missed in QA, you know, just those, if something was missed, happy path, non-happy paths, those kinds of things. You want to document them so that it's a guideline for every single person. And I'm pretty sure your senior management really appreciate that. Then not every organization has a mentorship platform or mentorship or mentoring platforms, but it's something you can set up for yourself. Choose a mentor within your organization, within your team, even outside of your team, just within your organization or even somewhere else. That helps you keep accountable and keep them up to date, because they are busy too, and they might not remember to, you know, keep you accountable. But if they see that you're keeping yourself accountable by constantly doing what you said you will do per time, when you don't do it, when you don't show up, they'll call you out, because they've seen that you're responsible and consistent and that you really do want to be kept accountable. So they will keep you accountable. When they see, when you're not able to meet up, or when you're not able to stay accountable, they'll keep you accountable. So that's one of the roles of a mentor. But you need to do the work on yourself and keep yourself accountable first by constantly staying up to date with those people. And then when you have developed a pattern and a trend, and it's something that's stuck to them, you know, that this is how this person operates, when you don't show up, they'll call you out. And, you know, be prepared for that, be open to that. But that is indispensable in working in today's change environment. Having an accountability partner, someone to look over your change documents to say, we're missing this. And sometimes stakeholders say, no, this is not how we want to capture this. This is how we capture this. But sometimes you see that there's benefits to what you suggested, and you want someone, an accountability partner or a support partner within that team to say, also speak up for you and say, hey, I actually agree with what Sarah, for instance, is saying. I think we need to work with what she's saying. She's saying that we need to do this and capture this because this is beneficial. But if you like, we can include that, integrate that in your preferred document. But I don't think we should leave out that. So when a second opinion speaks up, it gives your voice more strength and it makes it more difficult to ignore. Those are some of the things that you want to, you know, implement to overcome resistance to change in your projects. I hope that this 27 minutes we have spent together have been very educative for you. And if you have any additional comments or examples of when you have had to resist change and you feel like I didn't bring any of that up, please drop a comment, like this page, like our page, and also share with people you think would find this relevant, even if it's just one tip, cut something out, and just let them see it. It'll be very helpful for them. Also, we have our free change webinar coming up on Friday at 5 p.m. EST. I'm looking forward to having you guys. It's going to be 45 minutes to 1 hour of just, you know, rubbing minds with you, sharing my thoughts with you, and you know, helping us get to know each other a bit more. And I'm looking forward to more engagements. There'll be time for question and answer if I see enough engagements. And I'm looking forward to having you guys join. Also, this is something that I'm hoping that I can be doing every day. If I get more love, I will be encouraged to share my thoughts every day, and I think it would most likely get better. I feel like yesterday was better than today. So yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching and getting to this point with me. You make it worth it, the sacrifice of sitting here for 30 minutes, but your time is much more precious. Thank you so much.